Well, we are getting closer, and we are going to now proceed to create the spout of our teapot. And for that, we are going to do one thing, which is creating a circle that is going to give us the base for it. So I'm going to start by, just hide my grid on this view. I'm going to start by creating a nerve circle, and that nerve circle is showing right there. So I'm going to let me actually call back my four views, so make sure that I can see the new circle right there. So I'm going to just rotate that circle. Because it's horizontal, I'm going to make it vertical. I'm going to make it the base of the snout. So I'm going to just go here and show my wireframe. So there's, you see my circle there. I'm going to rotate it exactly. You can see here the circle was 90. I want to make sure it's minus 90 degrees exactly. And I'm going to move it to be in front. Let me see. Let me just, I had to put something here. And move it in front of where that snout is located. And I'm going to make that snout, that circle, as large as the snout drawing is, at least the base of the snout. I want it to be as large as possible, or at least the size of it similar to that. So that one, let's look at it in the perspective view, is right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to project that onto the surface. So to do that, there are different ways. I am going to select my curve. I'm going to select my cylinder, my base, and I'm going to just go on their surfaces. I'm going to say project that curve on that surface, but I need to open it up because there are different ways of projecting it. One of them is you can do it with active view. So if I clicked the camera and I projected it looking at it from this view like this, that would do it. The other option, much more precise, is if I do surface normal. What is the normal? The normal is the direction where the surface is looking at. So in this case, those surfaces are looking out that direction. You know, pretty much what they are looking outside, or what their view is. That's the normal. So I'm going to use the normal, better, more precise, and tolerance. Just that value is fine. I'm gonna say project, and you see right there, the curve gets projected onto that surface. Now, it got a little bit smaller, which is okay, and that curve is actually a curve that is not exactly the same curve, because the previous curve is this one, and that one is a curve on the surface. So I need to, and I can try modifying it if I want to, but for now I'm gonna just keep it the way it is. I could try moving it if I wanted to, but I don't want to move it. I'm gonna keep it the way it is. Let's see. I was trying to see if it's scale it, but it doesn't let me to scale it. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it like just like that. And from that, I'm going to. It's a little bit smaller than my object, than my original one. Let me use what. Just delete it. I'm gonna do it one more time, but I'm gonna scale it up a little tiny bit so I can get the other one being a bit more to the actual size. So I'm gonna go a little bit larger. I'm gonna just do the projection one more time. So when I say surface, project curved surface, I'm gonna open it up again, and then say project. And that, if I look at it on the side view, that made the green line here and there a little bit larger, which is going to make this now a tiny bit bigger. And that's fine. I can just grab, move it down a tiny bit. It's gonna move because when I move it, it's on the surface. So I just move it down a tiny bit. That way it gets a bit more precise, similar to the scale that I want. Okay, so I have that. I'm gonna go to my perspective view, and I'm going to do one thing though. I'm gonna make a hole there. But before I make the hole, I want to duplicate that curve, because the snout is gonna come from that curve. This one is pretty much, I don't need it anymore, but I'm gonna keep it there for now because if I remove it, I think that's going to affect the other one. Yes, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna keep that one there for now until I delete the history. Right, so I'm gonna just grab this guy and I'm going to say under curves, I'm going to say duplicate surface curves. That way there is a second curve, you see right there, it's duplicated, that is right there. I duplicated it because I'm going to use that one to build the snout from that. Now I'm going to select this object. You can see now the curve is part of the object, there is a line there. And I'm going to use one of the tools, a trim tool that surfaces have. I think it's somewhere here. The trim tool is this one, which is the same as if I click on this one. And what that is, it is allowing me to choose what I need to keep. So I'm going to click on, just 2 times is fine, on the surface that I want to maintain, and I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. And that just made a hole right there. I'm not going to do the inside because I could create a curve in there if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do the inside. I'm going to just do it from this one. So I have that, and I have this other curve that is right on it, exactly the same place where the hole is open. So I'm going to just save my file right here just to have a good location, a good moment to save. And then I'm going to use that to create my snout from that hole. So I'm going to go to my front view and I'm going to hide the surfaces for a moment so I can see only the curve. And I'm going to make a snout. I'm going to make it from a curve that is going to go up from this all the way up that way. But I need that curve to be attached to that original curve. So in order to do that, I'm going to just grab my tool here. This one just should do it. But I'm going to make it so that it sticks to curves. You see the magnet? If you don't see it, if you just hit it like that, just open it up. And you make sure that it snaps to the curves. So if I click on that curve, you can see that now when I move, you see the little thing. I just clicked and I haven't let go of my mouse. I'm moving it and I can move all the way down and now it snaps to that curve at the bottom point. And now I can go and click on the points that make that curvature. I'll make it maybe about 6 or 8 times and I hit enter. So I have made a curve that is coming from that curve. I can see it here, coming right from that curve down there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab the curve, not the geometry, so I'm just going to select, hide the surface there. So I have the curve and I select this object, this curve. So first, the one that is giving me the profile of the extrusion, and this is going to be the rail of the extrusion. I'm going to say surfaces extrude. But before that, let me just show the surfaces one more time. I'm going to say surfaces extrude. I'm going to open it up. And there are different ways of doing it. First of all, I want it to be a tube, right? At the profile, so it's going to be from that profile, it's going to come as much as possible. And I can make it rotate, but I don't need to rotate. I need to scale. I had done it before because I wanted to make sure it worked before. So I can scale it, meaning that from the original to the final is going to be reduced and scale of 0.2 roughly, which is going to be an approximation. It's not going to be exactly precise, but it's going to be an approximation. It's going to create a complete piece, and it's going to be, of course, under this object. So I'm going to say extrude. And you see right away, it makes it. It's not perfect as I said before. There are some issues with it. You can see that it's not quite working, but we can correct that. We can also recreate another curve and do it from the other curve, but for now I should be able to do it. So let me go to the side view and call my snurts and see what it's doing. And yeah, it looks a little odd, but I got the geometry there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to modify this snout so that I can get it to work better. So how am I going to do it? I'm going to just go and select a hole for it. It just has holes, same way as we did before. When I click on the hole, and I can start moving the hole and rotating it and scaling it. I'll go to the next one too. Scaling, moving. The next one. Okay, so now this one of course needs to be moved up and rotated in this direction. I'm gonna have to go back to it probably, not that. Snapping, I'm gonna turn out the curve snap because it snapped to the curve. And move it back up there and scale it down of course. Right there, I'm gonna click on the next hole, double click on the next hole. I'm gonna move it, rotate it. There's going to be a series of corrections that has to be done, but that should give me enough. If it's too small there, I'm gonna have to probably move this one higher to give more room for the one below because they're getting too close together. One of the things that we train for is sharpening not only their technical skills but our capability of seeing what's working and what's not. So of course it's a matter of adjusting and learning little by little what needs to be modified. So I'm just trying to get it to look better, closer to what I need, I need to look like. Keep moving this one up. And there's another hole right there. As long as I don't move the one that is close to or on the actual edge of the curve, I should be all fine. So you see here, for example, this one I can scale up a little bit more. And that's pretty close. This one is not too good yet. There. It's not too bad. This one should go a bit wider too, just to maintain the thickness there. Notice that I'm just double clicking on the hole, so I'm changing all of them. If I start moving one point individually at a time, then things start looking a little odd. And although you may be able to do it, but then you start getting potato sacks, pretty lumpy and bumpy, and you don't want that. All right, let me see if I can look at it in perspective view to see what it's looking like. I'm gonna go to object mode, and you can see the silhouette there is black, and I'll explain that, how to take care of that in a minute. But if I click on it, if I press one on my keyboard shows the low res, three on my keyboard shows the high smooth version of it, and it's matching on the geometry. Now, why is it looking black? And if you look at the inside, it's gray. And what I said before, when we did the projection of the curve, it was based on the normals. So the normals are the faces of the object. In this case, the normals of this object are looking inside, not outside. So we need to correct the normals, and in order to do that, we simply have to say surface, and I need to reverse direction, I believe. Not totally sure. There is. So that is what I need. If I wanted to do the inside of that spot, making a little bit with the thing going in, we do the same thing as we did before. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just go and delete the history, because it still has history. It's connected to this curve. If I move that curve, the thing will move with it. But I don't want it to have a history. First of all, because I don't need it anymore. Second, because any history you have an object slows down the file, and makes it slower for rendering. So I'm just gonna go that way. So I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just insert an isoparm. I'm gonna do one. Remember, we will say surface and then insert isoparm. I'm gonna do another one right there. surface, insert isoparm. That gives me the option for selecting this hole, shrinking it. Actually, I can move it down, put it inwards. I should look better. I'm gonna do that better from the side view. That way, I'm not guesstimating the placement, and I'm not moving it in the wrong direction. I'm gonna grab this other hole. I'm gonna move it up, and the one below it. I use my mouse to move it. Not my mouse, my keyboard, my arrow keys. The same perspective view. I think you get the idea. I'm going to insert another isoparm right here. Let me do it from that, not that one. Let me do it from this one up, right there. That's better. I mix it a bit thicker, and that way I can maybe insert one last one there. That way I can grab this hole. It makes it a bit harder to do it that way, but let me just do it, find it this way here. I'm gonna extrude the last one down even more so that it kind of gets hidden in there. Just a tiny bit more. There's a little bit of inconsistency with the placement of some of these guys, so just go back and fine tune it to make it look pretty. Okay, so I got that. Now I can delete the history of this guy one more time. And I got my snout. You know, when you have the snout, you don't need those curves anymore. You can delete them. I'm gonna keep them right now like that for now. Okay, so save my file one more time. And we simply have pending the cap that it's going to be pretty straightforward. We'll do that one in the last video.